5th year on television. Today, we're live in Toledo, Ohio for the second jewel in bowling's Triple Crown, the PBA National Championship. These 5 bowlers have qualified for a shot at the $45,000 first prize. Pete Weber in our first match with 1 tournament win to his credit this season in St. Louis. He will face Mike Edwards of Tulsa, Oklahoma, who's in search of his first championship on a trip to the Firestone. That winner will meet Mike Albee, last year's Player of the Year. Mike is making his first championship round appearance this year. In the number 2 position, Mark Roth, who despite his 32 PBA titles, is looking for his first win in the national championship. And our tournament leader, last year's Rookie of the Year, Tommy Kreitz. That's our field for the PBA National Championship. And yes, this has been the scene of battle for the Toledo Trust PBA National Championship, the prestigious event on the Pro Bowlers Tour. And we're delighted to be here again to bring you the 6th edition here at the impressive Imperial Lanes. Good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chris Schenkel, and you know, after a grueling week, grueling 56-game format, we have come down to the 5 finalists who have an opportunity today, as you saw, to win $45,000. More to it than that, which Bo will tell you about a little bit later on. But in the field, of the 5, 3 of them have earned the hard way, 52 professional titles. And there are 2 young men that want to win their first here in the Pro's finest national championship. Well, we're on the banks of the Maumee here in the glass capital, which has been the bowling capital of the world. And from the banks of the Mississippi, we bring him in. He won here in Toledo, one of his 17 championships. Nelson Burton Jr., Bo.
Thank you, Chris. You're right about a great field. This is one of the finest fields we've had all year long. We have 3 top players up in the championship round, and the reward today is tremendous. Naturally, a major title. Anybody wants to win a major title. Number 2, $45,000. That's a lot of money for one day's work. And number 3, a 7-year exemption, and I think the most important, to the Firestone Tournament of Champions. Now, what the players have to contend with today is something different than we've seen before here at Imperial Lanes. They used to have a lacquer surface, which required a ball down the second arrow, very little hook. They switched to a polyurethane surface. The lanes are hooking quite a bit. The players have to play inside, throw the big hook from a deep inside line. And number 2, they have to contend with brand new pins. The solid pocket hit will be rewarded. The light hits, they may not carry every time. So today, the player must keep the ball in the pocket from the inside line, but watch out for the defending champion, Mike Albee. Chris, we're ready for action.
All right, thank you, Nelson. And there you see vital statistics of that big prize money. $235. Next year it'll be $260. So, Pete Weber now, coming from St. Louis, Florissant, Missouri, a suburb. This is his 2nd championship round appearance this year. Finished 5th in this huge field. He has 1 victory, most important to Pete and his family, winning before the hometown fans in St. Louis, and very impressively. He's going against Mike Edwards of Tulsa. Shot number 1.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
He liked it. He is mic'd with a RF microphone, so you'll hear his comments. We mentioned the parents of Pete Weber, and Jim and Gene Edwards watching in Tulsa, rooting for their son, who's looking for his first victory. Steadily improving, coming off a slump, has been tough here in the championship. Two different styles, and Mike on the right lane leaves the 7-pin, Bo.
Chris, you picked it out. Mike Edwards has an ideal style, but he's had to work on his game a little bit this year. 4-step delivery, cups that ball. Very strong young man. The thing he has to guard against is not topping the ball, trying to hook it too much. And you see he leaves the 7-pin. That's the hit that they're going to have to carry to be a winner today. The solid pocket, I think he'll get most of the time.
All right, now that tension has been released on Mike Edwards, who is 24 years old, has yet to win, whereas his opponent, Pete Weber, in his 7 years, has won 8 titles. And both today would like to move from that first game, go through 4 games, and get it all. And this year, Nelson, we've had them start from this position and win it all.
From the winner of the first match, the winner has come 5 times so far this year. The tournament leader has won twice. But today, for the big money, I think anything can happen.
And it's a 10-pin on the left lane.
And here we see brand new bowling pins. They put them in at the start of the week. They have approximately 200 games on these pins, and you don't get that bouncing pinfall that we often see where the 6-pin, like right there, would bounce out and knock the 10 out of the channel. The premium's going to be on the solid hit. The pocket has been fairly easy to hit from that deep inside line, but carry has been sporadic.
Very smooth cross-lane shot by Mike Edwards of Tulsa. So he is marked with a pair of spares, whereas Pete Weber opened with a strike. Now he'll be shooting in the second frame of our first game, and whoever gets to the top spot and wins it all will have to go through some great champions, because next up to meet the winner of this game will be the defending champion and bowler of the year, Mike Albee, then the great Mark Roth, followed by Tom Kreitz of Tampa, our tournament leader. Jumping out early, Pete Weber with that double.
Pete Weber with that tremendous style, such a small body, has a good push away. Look at the concentration. The high backswing, he gets that leverage from the top of the swing and drives through with that pivot step and the tremendous wrist action. And at this time, he generates the kind of pin action that you need to win today. A hit that they did not carry very often this week, the light hit. Weber with his power was able to do it, leads by 11.
We saw after his last shot, which gave him a double, something bothered him in the audience. He should be able to brush off whatever concerned him and go right about his game here in the third frame. But he comes up high, avoids the split, leaves the sixth.
The championship pair, we set up the characteristics of lanes 25 and 26 at Imperial Lanes. 25 hooks quite a bit more than 26 as Pete Weber's quickly up on the approach to shoot this spare. He switched balls. He'll make the 6-pin across lane.
Well, Nelson, it's very gratifying on this unusually warm day in Toledo, Ohio, that in that final game today, it's a total of 70,000 at stake. When we first started, we never thought that would happen.
In 1958, the PBA Tour bowled all the season for a total of 58 or 59,000. They've come a long way. Mike Edwards trails by 10.
And he left the 5-pin. Thought he might get it. Can't let his dauber get down now. It's early in the game. Anything can happen.
Here's the pin mix. You watch the head pin go to the sideboard, and if those pins had about 1,000 games or 1,500 games on them, they'd be broken in a little bit more, and they would bounce around just a pinch more, and you would carry that type of hit. Edwards has been around the pocket the first 3 frames, but no strikes as of yet.
So Mike, who's in his first TV appearance of 86. Last year, he was in 4 of them, and he had a very good year, winning 48,385. There you see the 11-pin difference. You see how that came about. The double and a spare and 3 spares for Tulsa's Edwards.
Once again, the championship pair, the left-hand lane, hooks about 3 boards more than the right-hand lane. That's the characteristic of this bowling center in all the years I've bowled here. So that's what we watch for today.
That's the type of shots he was doing last night when he jumped from 7th to 4th with a big 247 against Bill Peters. More of this first game following this message.
Power through his legs and his whole body as he can, so he uses 17 feet.
High hit, leading the 3-6. Let's replay and get a better idea of his form from behind.
Standing all the way to the end of the approach, much like Marshall Holman, all the slightly built players, they use that full approach. They get the high backswing, and Peters quickly up with another ball to cover this 3-6 spare he left on that shot.
As we mentioned earlier, the 6th year that the PBA National Championship and Toledo Trust have hosted this event. It's the 18th year that we've been coming here. As you look at the prize money, there are the facts and figures. 45, 25, 15, 10, and 8.
Lots of bucks, but still the figure that as a touring pro, and I'm sure the middle of the pack players, Weber, Roth, and Albee are looking at, is that 7-year exemption to the Firestone Tournament of Champions. In essence, Chris, you could put another 14,000 value on that because last in the Firestone's 2,000 every year.
Right.
That's it. Yeah.
And as he said, that's it. Now, Mike Edwards has to start stringing them.
The hand action of Pete Weber. He twists that wrist at the top of the backswing, then gets it down underneath it, lets that wrist roll around the ball, lifts straight up the back. Tremendous power. Now Mike Edwards up in the fifth with a strike here could take the lead. Not to be. The 3-pound, 8-ounce pin's brand new, Chris. What happens is watch the action of the head pin. Now watch as the ball comes in light. The head pin goes to sideboard, almost goes out of your shot. Now watch it come back across the lane and take a whack at the 10-pin. There it goes. That would have given Mike Edwards the lead. But now he has another single pin spare. He's converted 3 so far.
And he stays perfect. Continuing to mark, hanging in there, consistency. Often the name of the game.
Mike, an excellent clutch bowler. He came up in the 10th frame last night, 56 game, needed 2 strikes to pass Frank Ellenberg to go into the top 5 and give himself a chance at that $45,000. Just buried all 3, 10th, 11th, and 12th. Now he trails by just 9 pins, 6th frame.
He was second last year in the Quaker State Open. Best here was 16th 2 years ago. And as Bo said, those are the type of strikes that he was making last night. Today's another day.
Mike Edwards looks very sharp. A little light in the pocket 4 times, solid in the 4th and 6th frames. Although Weber has the lead. He is the only player so far to carry an off hit. That was in the 2nd frame. He carried the light wall shot, and that's been the difference so far in the match. Strike working, a double here in the 6th. He'd lead by 19.
And now Pete, too, will know what it's like. Shoot that single pin spare.
Pete's doing something we haven't seen him do before, and that's switch to a harder, shinier ball for spares. And I think the reason being he's using a hooking type ball for his first shot, and he needs to control that spare shot.
The mental side is so important in this game, and we asked Pete earlier, he has a different attitude when he plays a super player or a newer one.
Oh, when I play against a super player like Mike Albee or Mark Roth, my attitude changes a little bit. I get a little more vicious on the lanes. I smack my hands a little more, grip my teeth a little more, as to where when I bowl a rookie out here, it's a little more mellow. I don't grip my teeth or smack my hands as much.
Mr. Intensity. Don't let him kid you. He is a competitor. Look at those eyes.
Terrible. Terrible.
Once again,
self-analysis is always good.
He's got that mic on him, the what we call lavalier mic or unmanned, needs no wire. It's an RF mic, and the 360 left in the 4th frame he covered perfectly. Once again, the 7th frame, he needs this to maintain his lead.
Stuck at the line and nearly went across it. Pete Weber with a 7-pin lead here. Mike Edwards has crossed a big hurdle in champion Pete Weber, a great champion. Next, he will face the bowler of the year, left-hander Mike Albee. Don't go away. Another handful in the bowler of the year, the defending champion Mike Albee, who bowls from the left side. That is Edwards' next opponent, to be followed by Roth and then Tom Kreitz. Time now to ask Bo.
And
well,
Chris,
here's a question. What is the role of the Professional Bowlers Association regions
And in essence, the PBA has two types of tours. It's the regional tour and the national tour. And basically, the regions operate satellite tournaments in 7 separate regions around the country. And they also provide eligibility for the national tour. You must cash in at least 2 of these regional tournaments before you can even send in an entry card to get on the Rabbit Squad on the PBA National Tour. And finally, they provide eligibility for the Firestone Tournament of Champions by holding 1 tournament a year, the resident or regional pro championship. The winner gets a spot in the Firestone for 1 year.
So if you'd like answer to your question, send that question to Ask Bo, Post Office Box 1986, Radio City Station, New York, New York, 10101. All right, here we go with the second game. There is Mike Walby, who finished 3rd overall in this championship pair. 2 games throughout the week. He averaged 190, and in match play, he was defeated by Mike Edwards. But this is the defending champion. Set a record last year of over $201,000. Good mixing action.
Albee, with that great striking ball, has bowled so well in this particular tournament. This is his 3rd chance to win the PBA National Championship. He really has his hands full with Mike Edwards. Almost a perfect game Edwards bowled the first match. All 12 balls in the pocket, finished with 7 in a row, 248. If he can maintain that pace, he's going to be very tough to beat.
Wonderful break. Man with 8 strikes in his 248 game gets this one. Watch.
Watch the action of the 5-pin. The ball drives through the 1-3. The 5-pin drives over into the 4-7 area, bounces off the sidewall, takes out the 7. Edwards now has 8 strikes in a row, has started where he left off in match 1. Start red hot here in match 2.
And reality sets in, the 4, 6, 7, 10.
The mistake for Mike Edwards was that time just a little bit too careful. You have to keep the speed up, and what he has to do is just throw the ball over here in this 4-7 area and try to bounce one of the pins over to the 6-10.
So it's a disaster early. Open frame.
You're right, Chris. A mistake that may show up. Remember, he had a strike up, and he should have gotten just 2 pins. And so he would have 26 in the 2nd frame. Instead, he only got 1 pin. Foolish to throw away that pin in an attempt to make a near impossible split. Let's see if those 2 pins show up somewhere down the line in the match.
2-time PBA National Champion, Albee. And we have a 3, 5, and 9 for the lefty from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Mike Albee with that pronounced push away early in the start. A nice, smooth approach. Not a very high backswing. He's just a stroking type of player. Drops that left shoulder slightly. Good follow through. Keeps the ball wide, but has left himself a pretty difficult spare here. The 3, 5, 9. Got to guard against the chop and still carry out the 9.
And exactly what you said, though.
Coming across lane, and the lane's breaking quite a bit, especially this right-hand lane for the left-hand player. Watch the ball impact the 3-pin, take out the 9, but just misses the 5-pin, and this match is almost even after 2 frames. Both players having openings. Albee leads by 4, and when we come out of the next commercial, Chris, we're going to have a word with his wife, get the woman's side of professional bowling. Tammy Albee, reflecting on her husband's career.
28-24. Start anew. Exactly what these great pros do. Opens, of course, bother them, but they come right back. Their stylish form, pinpoint accuracy, watch.
Albee driving out the 4 and the 7. Albee used to use a 15-pound ball, but he found he couldn't carry the 7-pin consistently with that weight of ball, and has switched to the 16-pound ball, and naturally his record last year of $200,000 shows the improvement.
Gets Johnson, nonetheless, thought it was going to slide by. And like Albee, bounces back after an open with a strike.
Mike Edwards, the farm, watch the release and the hand action as he drives down through that pivot step, keeps his hand directly behind the bowling ball, lets the wrist and fingers lift through the shot, and gets the good pin action. Where Mike would have any trouble at all is when he gets too excited. He tries to turn it too much and goes over the top of the ball, but he's been almost perfect so far after a game in 3 frames.
Motioning for the 7 to go as well as the 4, but it didn't.
We talked about brand new pins, and what I mean by new pins is they were installed as the start of the tournament. They have approximately 250 games on them, and pins will not start bouncing around and carrying the off hit until they get about 1,000 games on them. So once again, you can see the premium on the solid hit, and if you have the power, you can carry the light one.
So Mike Edwards and Mike Albee in our second match. Edwards eliminating Pete Weber, earned $8,000 in his loss. We'll be back.
Tammy Albee, and quite a beautiful day out here, but inside the bowling lanes, Tammy, Mike had a great year last year, $200,000. He's off to a bit of a slow start this year. What's been the difference?
Well, I think the fall was very pressure-filled. It never ended. The Bowler of the Year race was pretty much closed up at the end of the fall, but then the $200,000 was still there, so it was pressure-filled all the way to the end.
Mike's a confidence bowler, I know that, Tammy, and he's really has his confidence going this week.
Yeah, he does. We took the last 3 weeks off, and he got to rest up a little bit. He never really recovered from last year. So that 3 weeks made a big difference. He's come back real well.
All right, Chris, he looks sharp out there. He's got the lead. He's up there, has a chance to extend it. Ready to go.
And as Mike will say, a lot of the credit for his coming back in high form is Tammy, the little Californian lady that married this Hoosier. Leads by 4. He has a strike up. Can go up by 14. 4th frame, Mike Albee. So, 14-pin lead. Of course, he can increase that with his next shot. He is facing Mike Edwards, who shot a 248, as you see a replay of that strike from the left side. Edwards, his opponent, with a 248 to Pete Weber's 212. Mark Roth will meet the winner of this game. And then the tournament leader, Tom Kreitz of Tampa, Florida. Capacity crowd, and it's been standing room only all week here. Toledo, truly a hot spot in bowling. Lots of participants, lots of fans. Zeroing in, jumping out now to a 24-pin lead over Mike Edwards.
As Albee sits down, you see the reaction and the pin action of Mike's turkey. 3 in a row coming from an open in the 2nd frame. He strung together 3 in a row, leads Mike Edwards by 24. He likes it. Edwards back to the wall, 5th frame, has to get a string going.
As we start now in the second match.
Powerfully built Mike Edwards had a promising football career, injured a knee and dropped out of that. Once time was on a tremendous weightlifting program where he was bench pressing, he tells me, up to 340 pounds, and had to lose some of that bulk to get his arm swing down smooth. He looks great shape right now, but he needs some strikes to push Albee.
All but the 10 on the left lane of this championship pair.
Twixt in between for Mike Edwards. He throws the ball a little too slowly. It goes high. Throws it up just a little bit too hard and does not get the pin action with 3-pound, 8-ounce pins. Not to be. And he really needed that one. 6-frame conversion here of the 10-pin for Edwards. He would trail by 24.
Up quickly is Mike Albee.
Albee averaged 238 in this championship pair en route to winning the national championship last year. He added 223 against Bob Hanley's 222 last year, and defeated his brother-in-law 253 to 211 last year for the championship. Leads by 24 here, 6th frame.
Can you believe the 5-pin?
Once again, the story's in the trajectory of the ball towards the pocket, the 1-2 pocket for Albee, and the weight of the pins. He starts that ball around the 3rd arrow. The ball comes in light. The head pin goes to the sideboard and does not take out either the 5 or 10 pins. And what he has to do is keep the ball over here to the left of the 5-pin, slide it over into the 10 to convert the square.
That he was the PBA Rookie of the Year, winning this championship then, and he did it again last year.
Just perfect. Nips that 5-pin on the left side, knocks it right into the 10.
From this Ohio city, next week we move to Maryland, to Baltimore, for the Fairlanes Open. There you see it, $130,000 tournament, followed by the Long Island Open in Garden City. Then to Windsor Locks, Connecticut, followed by our final stop in this 25th year, the Firestone Tournament of Champions.
The telescore that all the fans here at the capacity crowd of Imperial Lanes, Gerald Ducat's beautiful establishment in Toledo, this is the overhead that they see. Here's the shot of Albee, 7th frame.
10-pin on that left lane.
A shot almost identical to the one he had there in the 6th frame, where the head pin went to the sideboard and didn't take out either the 5 or the 10 pin. That time the head pin did the job on the 5-6, has left him a very simple spare to maintain a 21-pin lead.
We're in Toledo, site also of the 1986 PGA Golf Championship, which ABC will televise in August at the time-honored Inverness Country Club. So here in the PBA National Bowling Championship, the defending champion leads by 21. Getting late now in this second game, his opponent, Mike Edwards. Was leading by 24, now 11 as a result of a double by Edwards. And a solid 9 for Albee. And the crowd ohs and ahs.
In almost disbelief, Albee leaves a solid 9. Watch the ball as it drives through the 1-2 pocket and then chops the 5 directly off of the 9, straight back. And it's one of the few times today that we have seen a solid pocket hit not rewarded with a strike.
Disappointment to Mike. While we were away, Edwards had a strike in the 7th and 8th. The reason we didn't show it, we're running behind our allotted time schedule. So Mike Albee with the spare. And this is his first game of the afternoon. And finishing in the huge professional field here in the National Championship. From the 3rd spot now, needs to win to advance against Mark Roth and Tom Kreitz. Same is true of Edwards, of course.
Albee, who has been so good all week. And here are some of his victories. His 6 victories last week. AC Delco on the Winter Tour, PBA National, the Old Spice tournament. Then in the summer, he won at Denver, the PBA doubles with his brother-in-law, Steve Cook. And he won the Brunswick Memorial Tournament to close out the year better than $200,000 and consensus Bowler of the Year title. As I was saying, as Albee has been so good in the clutch all week long, he leads by 10 right now. Let's see what he can do. 9th frame.
Mike, the rabid sports fan, will remind you that he was the bowling champion of the year. Larry Bird was the pro basketball champion, and Don Mattingly, the MVP of the American League. All Hoosiers. Beautiful strike. Oh. And while I'm bragging about my home state of Indiana, he was the 3rd bowler of the year, Don McCune and Don Johnson.
I think for me to make a comeback, I better move up to Tippecanoe and get some lessons, Chris.
Well, you're always welcome. You and Mike Durbin. And then I'll have a doubles championship pair.
Here comes Edwards. Let's see what he does. He can tie the match with this strike.
Remember Remember, this is a man that has not won a national professional title. He ousted Pete Weber, 248 to 212, now going against another great in Mike Albee. And another great follows in Mark Roth. What a field.
And the key frame for Edwards, a lane that he only has one strike on. That was the 8th frame. Remember, he had the split on this lane in the 2nd frame. He was light in the 4th. He was light again in the 6th. Struck in the 8th. Now he needs a strike to take the lead. 10th frame.
Didn't get it. 7.
Left the 7 pin, and remember when we said in the 2nd frame where he got 7 pins instead of 8 pins on the strike? He now trails by 1 pin. If he had gotten that extra pin in the 2nd frame, he would lead by 1. Such a subtle difference, but we'll pick it out in a championship match. Needs to convert this spare, throw a strike. He'll have 2:03. Albee going at a 2:04 pace.
There's no way you can recover in this game.
Well, it's just
an error, and look out.
Mental error, Chris. But Edwards has really, really bowled very well. He came back in the 7th, 8th, and 9th frames this match and threw a really good shot there in the 10th. Didn't get the break on the 7 pin. Still has a possibility of winning the match or even having a tie game with Albee.
And another 10 pin. So, applause of the crowd. A score of 202, and now it's up to Albee.
A well-deserved applause for Michael Edwards, but he hasn't been beaten yet. Albee must get 19 pins somehow in the 10th frame. That would be either a strike right here on this ball or a spare and 9 or better to win the match. Spare and 8, we'd have a tie. Spare and 7, Edwards would win. A situation we had one other time at the King Louis Open is where the machine touched the pin and has to be reset. And the rule on this is very simple, Chris. Once the ball hits the kickback or falls off the back plate, watch this action. Now, count 3 seconds from the time you see this ball disappear. The ball disappears. Now, 1001, 1002, 1003. It has to be at least that amount of time before the machine can touch the pin. The pin has been reset. Albee must make this spare and get 9 to win.
Just did it. Very, very tight. 2nd match.
All right for Albee. 9 or strike, win. 8 tie, 7 lose. The winner of this match will go on to meet the greatest right-hander in the history of professional bowling, Mark Roth.
And it is time to pause and reflect for both the Albies. It's 26-year-old now. Oh, it's a tie. Can you believe it? A tie game, a 2-frame roll-off bow.
2-frame roll-off as defending champion Mike Albee leaves the 4-8 on his spill ball. It will be Mike Edwards up first, and what happens right here is Edwards will bowl 1 frame, similar to the 9th frame of a regulation game. Then Albee will go up and bowl the 9th and 10th frames. Here you see the pin action. Remember, 7 was a loser, 8 is a tie, 9's a winner. It's almost 7, almost 7. Head pin, do some work. Takes out the final pin to fall. We have a tie match. Edwards is up as the crowd silences. We're starting all over 2 frames.
What pressure on a non-winner, Mike Edwards. And that's the lane that's caused him trouble. 5-7.
The lane, you're right, Chris, that has caused him all the trouble. He only got one strike in this match against Albee on that left-hand lane. He hits right in the pocket and leaves the 5-7. He must slide this over, similar to the 5-10 that Albee converted. Slide the 5 over into the 7.
It's a safety valve. Pressure off now. Look at that young man from Tulsa. Look at the shot.
Perfect. Gets that ball just light. Slides that 5 over into the back of the 7. Just nips it. Avoids the open frame and keeps the pressure on Albee, who is up for his first shot. Edwards likes it. Let's see how Albee reacts. 9th frame.
Crossing over and leaving the 5-8.
Albee just having all sorts of trouble with the right lane. Edwards all sorts of trouble with the left lane. They'll both be up on their favorite lane in the final frame of this roll-off to determine the winner. Once again, the 5-8 seems like a simple spare, but with the big hook of Albee, you have to guard against the chop of the 5 off of the 8.
Good shot by the defending champion, Mike Albee.
Looks like just one pin, but after the ball touches the 5, it deflects into the 8, converts the spare, and as Albee comes up in his final shot in this 2-frame roll-off, you can see it's all even. 57 games for these two players, and it's still down to just 1 frame to determine who will go on to meet Roth in the semifinal.
202 tie. Big shot. Could have gave it an Arnold Palmer hitching of the belt line. Mild, even-tempered guy, but he could drill it.
Good shot is right. He threw his best shot of the match so far. Very confidently stepped up there in the 2nd frame of the roll-off and has put the pressure on Edwards as Tammy Albee looks on. No matter what Albee does, he cannot shut out Edwards. The best Albee can do if he strikes here in the 11th and 12th frames of this 2-framer, actually, would be 50.
Digging down. Getting that double.
For Albee, 1 more strike would give him a total score in the roll-off of 50. It would force that young man, Mike Edwards, who is playing with a rosin bag, concentrating on what he must do, a chance to tie. If Albee doesn't strike, Edwards can get up and win.
Mike's on the left lane. All right. We have a 6-pin standing. We have a score of 49. And Mike Edwards controls his own destiny now in this 2-frame roll-off.
Edwards must strike on this ball, the next ball, and the final ball to win. He needs 2 strikes, 9 for another tie. Anything less, Albee would be the winner. Disappointed.
He thought he had them all. A gallant try by Mike Edwards of Tulsa, Oklahoma. But in a 2-frame roll-off, his opponent is shot of 49. We'll have Mike's final score. In today's bowling tip, Bo will begin a 5-part series on how to practice. Today, Bo will tell us how to warm up. Watch and listen.
The Professional Bowlers Tour Tip of the Week is brought to you by Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's cooked the Colonel's special way. Kentucky Fried Chicken, we do chicken right.
Today we begin a 5-part series on how to practice. Golfers have a practice scheme. They go out, they hit drivers, they practice sand wedges, they practice putting. but bowlers really don't have a practice scheme. This series will show you how to maximize your practice time and your practice dollars. First place, I recommend that everybody bowl at least one league a week. That's fine. But how many games should I practice? I think that everybody can improve with just 5 games if they maximize that practice time. Now, today's first lesson will be on warming up. First, you have to warm up the body. I recommend loosening up the legs, stretching the hamstrings by just touching your toes or at least touching down to the floor. The second is to loosen up the upper body. Turn it about 90 degrees each direction. That'll loosen up the waist area. Now you're ready to go. Now, what should you do? Go up there and fire the first ball? No. You see a baseball pitcher when he comes into a game, he doesn't just walk out of the dugout onto the mound. He goes down to the bullpen, warms up for 5 or 10 minutes. Professional bowlers on the tour, we get 10 warm-up shots. And what we do with those shots is very simply this. We try to establish our rhythm, our timing, set up the whole day in the first game. Watch how I take my first warm-up shot. Nice and easy, nice and loose, establish that rhythm. That's lesson number 1. There you go. Remember the first lesson. Nice and easy. Loosen up that body. Don't fire that first shot down the lane.
At some places, getting tender chicken isn't
9-39. Tough break for Mike Edwards. Impressive in the first game as he was in the second. And it's Albee, the defending champion, now goes against Mark Roth, who has never won a PBA national title. There's Mark, maroon shirt, seated, while Albee in that 2-frame roll-off. He is in the semifinal. Small smile on Mike's face. Great way to start the first match, especially when you're bowling this 32-time champion. U.S. Open champion. He's yet to win this one. He's yet to win the Firestone. But he is something. Like that. Takes so little time. Cranks it up, and let's look at the profile.
The greatest natural ability I've seen in my 25 years of professional bowling. There he is, Mark Roth, 6-step delivery, nice extension. Watch how that hand stays underneath the ball. And the thing that's kept him so great is he doesn't try to hook the ball. He lets the wrist do the work. Nice, relaxed arm swing. He's off to an early strike.
So he gets his double, 3rd appearance on TV this year, and he finished second twice. He went for a string of 9 years, at least winning one title with shots like this.
The first player to overpower the pins so far today. Mark hits slightly light in the pocket, has enough power and lift on the ball to pop that 6 up, take out the 10, and it's something he's used to all and every day's work.
Loose and confident. So is Mike Albee.
You're right, Chris. 2 of the most confident players that bowl on confidence that I've ever seen on the Pro Tour going heads up, semifinal match.
Solid 9 again.
Once again, Albee is victimized by the near or apparently a perfect hit. Leaves the 9-pin. There's nothing you can do about it. 16-pound ball drives straight through. Watch the action of the 3-pin as it drives back in, bounces into the head pin, but the 5-pin does not take out the 9.
Thanks again.
Mike Albee, 2-time PBA National Champion. In his rookie year in '79 and again last year. And there he, as you see, Players of the Year, Mark Roth 4 times. You see Wayne Webb in '80 and then Albee last year. Broke the money record of over $201,000. Earl Anthony had earned $164,000, but Mike broke that record a year ago.
Get in there, Mike.
Will make him feel better.
Couldn't carry the solid hit, but he gets a break as the 3-pin goes to the sideboard and trips out the 6-10. And that's the scoring system of bowling. If you go strike, strike, spare, you have 49 in the second. But since he went strike, spare, strike, he only has 40. Roth, a 10-pin lead.
Mark Roth, perfect through 3 frames in this national championship.
Mark Roth, to see the power of his bowling ball. Very little deflection as the ball enters the pocket and just steamrollers over all 10 pins into the pit. He has a 20-pin lead, perfect through 3.
Mark's record, a second, a third, a fourth, and 5th twice in the national championship. Ten on the left lane.
Well, Roth didn't get away with a solid hit. Albee paid a penalty in the second frame. Roth quickly to the rosin bag. The finest spare shooter in the game of bowling. Watch his technique. Doesn't change balls, changes his hand position. He keeps that wrist flat underneath the ball instead of curling it underneath the ball, and lets the ball go very simply and straight towards the pin.
The man with the most experience in this field of 5, 16 years of professional and 32 titles, takes a lead by 19 against Mike Albee. We'll be back. And so, as he did on the right lane, left to 6 on the left.
Well, Roth is just helping the TV audience out. If they didn't see that shot naturally that we were in a commercial, he does it again in the 5th frame. Identical hit. Goes just a little bit high into the 1-2 pocket. The 3-pin goes to the sideboard. Doesn't get any of the 6-pin. And he leaves himself a simple spare. A conversion here. He'll trail the great Mark Roth by 20.
Who just joined us, Mike Edwards, won the first match over Pete Weber, 248 to 212. Edwards and Albee, 202 tie. In the roll-off, 49-39 Albee. This is Mark Roth's first game today, the semifinal. High hit, leaving the 4-7-10. It looked like a hurried shot.
Very much so, Chris. He did hurry the shot, and I think as you see the ball cut right through the middle, lead the 6-7-10, it's because of the heat. Mark has a sore hand, and it's very warm down there, a little perspiration on his hand. He tried to hurry the shot and has left himself a difficult split.
Pussyfoot around with that shot at all. But it is an open frame coming in the 5th.
Almost converts it. Watch the action as the 6-pin as it heads over towards the 7. Whoops, he missed it again even on the replay. Half-inch behind the 7-pin. Roth now only leads by 6 pins after 5 frames.
Concentrating again for that strike on the left.
Want to see the greatest release in bowling? Watch this. He keeps his hand behind the ball. Watch the fingers directly behind the ball. The snap of the wrist with a slight lift out over the foul line, approximately 18 inches, which is real good. And you could hear the pins resounding to that strike.
Spare up.
That's it. That's 10. Right there.
Mike Albee called that one from that catbird seat. It's the best seat in the house at the foul line, isn't it, Nelson? You can tell where it's going.
Well, as in any sport, a great player knows when he's throwing a perfect shot, or at least what he feels is a perfect shot. Albee released that ball off his hand. He knew what the destiny of the pins were going to be on that shot. Solid in the pocket, only trails by 6. He can retake the lead with a double.
Outside of Baltimore, we'll see the finals of the Fairlanes Open on the Professional Bowlers Tour. Live coverage next Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern.
Albee to take the lead.
Oh, he comes from behind. Won the roll-off a little earlier. What a match, the semifinal for the right to go into the championship game. We'll be back. Pin on the right lane, Mark Roth covered it for his spare, as you see. Now the 8th frame, tight match. Strike in the 8th for Roth. Double up now for Albee, shooting in the 8th frame.
Albee, who got his encouragement to come out as a professional bowler from one of the only 2 Triple Crown winners to ever win the Firestone, the PBA National, and the U.S. Open. Billy Hardwick, the great Billy Hardwick, encouraged Mike to come on the tour after seeing Mike bowling in an exhibition match that Billy was participating in.
Like Billy, but from the opposite side, some beautiful strikes. Billy Hardwick gave us a lot of thrills, Bo.
You're right. Billy, a great bowler, and this is the kind of hit that he thrived upon. Solid in the pocket, all 10 in the pit, and everybody likes that, including Mike Albee. He's put himself in a position of a 14-pin lead. The 9th frame on his best lane can extend to 24 over a man you never really have shut out, Mark Roth.
Winner of this game goes into the finals against tournament leader Tom Kreitz of Tampa, Florida. How did the bowler of the year like that? With a high jump leap is a big strike. 4th in a row.
He's got to like this one, a $10,000 difference in this match for the winner, even if he finishes second. Roth up there in the 9th frame now to try to cut into that lead.
Steve Weber lost the first game, earned $8,000. Mike Edwards lost to Albee in the second game, $10,000. And the stepladder approach in our format and the stepladder of the Toledo Trust National Championship is really impressive.
Scoreboard tells the story. Roth with a strike here in the 10th and another one in the 11th could retake the lead, but he needs this one desperately.
Albee never watches an opponent.
I'll tell you, enjoy and watch one of the greatest performing under pressure. Roth, who has come so close this year to winning championships. He left a solid 9 at the Light Championship to lose to Janello. He left a solid 10 down at the Quaker State in Dallas to lose. Let's see what happens in the 11th here.
The mark of a professional.
Well, you just can't do it any better. Mark Roth, with another strike, will have 235 and has retaken the lead, put the pressure on Albee, where Albee must strike when he comes up in the 10th.
The 10-pin. Last shot, Mark Roth. Perceived round of applause, rightfully so. Albee trailing by 5 with a 4-bagger, a 234 for Mark Roth.
Albee, who threw 4 strikes in a row in the 32nd qualifying game here to even make it into the top 24, qualified 24th, crawled his way up into the top 5, now needs a strike to bowl for the title.
That's it. As we mentioned, Mark Roth over the years, a 2nd, a 3rd, a 4th, and 5th twice.
And I think Mike Albee just put another 3rd on to Mark Roth. You're seeing 2 of the finest talents ever to step on a bowling lane. There he is, Mark Roth, going against the younger left-hander, Mike Albee, who needs just 5 pins to secure 6 pins to win.
And oh so close. Leaving the 3-9 on the right lane. Mike Albee carefully checking. Well, he will go into the finals, a chance to successfully defend his title. It'll be against Tom Kreitz. Bowler of the Year, Mike Albee. Won by 2 pins with 7 strikes. Mark Roth, 4 times Bowler of the Year with 8 strikes, shot at 234. Albee now against Kreitz. And in our booth, while they warm up, we have Mark Roth. Mark, tough break.
Well, Chris, I bowled real well, and so did Mike. I just made 1 bad shot, and it cost me the match.
Well, Mark, you know, I just say that the difference between the right and the left, sometimes you can see the left-hander has a big angle on the pocket, but Albee was playing the inside line, and he's the bowler of the year, a hot hand. It was probably the best matchup between two of the greatest bowlers that we have right out here on the tour, you and Albee.
I think it was. I mean, he left solid 9, a couple of 6s, and I left a couple of 10s, so it was basically an even match except for my one bad shot.
Did the right hand bother you, Mark?
No, it was a little sore starting out this morning, and I worked it out by practicing a little longer today.
All right, Chris, we had a big field anyway. 360 players competed here. They paid 90 spots, $680 to 90th spot. And some of the other players that finished in the top 24 were some of the very top stars in the sport of bowling. As you can see, they said 345 field there, but there was room for 360. Look at the scores, only a 190 average to cut into the whole field, 206 to make the top 24. Albee got that spot. Now he has a chance to win the title. And here's some of the other players that finished up through there. Look for your favorite. As you see, George Haig, who is the chairman of the board of Toledo Trust, in the audience.
What a shot in the arm they have been with their financial and civic support, as they do throughout this fast-growing and ever-changing area of Toledo. All right, Mike Albee, who won by 2 pins over Mark Roth, goes against the tournament leader, non-winner, Tom Kreitz. First shot. And how to be greeted with the 6-7-10 for the left-hander.
As we see the 6-7-10, Chris, and Mark Roth walks away from the booth, he says, where was that one frame ago? As the situation for Albee is this here, he has to get the ball over by the 6-pin, slide it over to the 7-pin. It's a little bit tougher for a lefty because he's coming across lane from that side.
So it's an open frame for the defending champion. Only twice this year has a tournament leader won in 11 championships. This is the tournament leader from Tampa, Florida. 6-footer, 170 pounds, PBA Rookie of the Year in 1985.
Tommy Kreitz. Good athlete. Here.
10-pin.
Tom with a conventional style, just very deliberate, 4-step delivery right out of the textbook. Good push away, keeps that head and shoulders up, keeps that chin up high, good knee bend, good solid follow through, and you don't see him quite carry out the 10. And the reason that Tommy has been so successful this week, he's been able to hit the pocket from that inside line without throwing so hard, like say a Roth did, and it allows him to carry just a little better with the heavier pins.
Very smooth, marking it as fair. A man who crossed this championship pair 3 times with a 198 average, Tommy Kreitz. The leaders by rounds.
And these are 8-game blocks. Mark Baker, the early winner, he was the leader. He was the King Louis champion. And David Husett, former U.S. Open champion, led after round 4. 5, 6, and 7 were match game rounds, 56 games in all. Tom Kreitz is the tournament leader, has led it for 56. He needs one more to get in the Firestone Tournament Champions, 7-year exemption of that tournament, and $45,000.
And is left with the 2, 4, 5, 8 in this pressure match. Remember, talked about the pressure on non-winner Mike Edwards, who did well. Tom in only his 2nd television appearance.
Sends the ball wide, 2, 4, 5, 8, as you said, Chris, a very difficult spare. We saw that double wood combination once today, and that's where Albee chopped the 3 and the 9 off the 5. It's very similar to what Tom Kreitz has here. That's the right-hander's bucket.
Tom was 4th in the Denver Open last summer. Highest finish. So he'll beat that today. There it is. 5-pin.
And almost unemotionally, Tom Kreitz chops the 2, 4, 8 off the 5 and has re-given the lead to Mike Albee. And you cannot give a player of Albee's caliber that kind of break in the early going. A lot of money at stake. You have to be aggressive. I know this man will be.
7-pin for Albee. His opponent, Kreitz, who last year in the tournament here was 55th. Man of perseverance.
The pinfall we see once again taking the toll on apparently good hit. This is a question we often get in Ask Bo, is how come I leave so many 7s or 10 pins? And I think that replay shows that the ball is just not quite solid enough in the pocket. All what you must do is put a little more lift on the ball or a little less speed. Albee to the 7-pin.
Mike Albee, who defeated Mark Roth, who just joined us in the semifinal game by a score of 236 to 234. Roth with 15,000 here in this one-game head-to-head match. They're bowling for 70,000, 45 to the winner, 25 to the runner-up.
Albee would be only the second man in the last 4 years to successfully defend a title. Ted Hannes did it at the True Value in 1984 and 85 in Peoria, and Earl Anthony did it right here. Albee sends that ball wide, bows the 5 over into the 10, and keeps a 4-pin lead after just 3 frames. He's been there before. This young man has never, ever bowled for a championship, much less 45,000.
So now he is shooting in the 3rd frame, following an open. Playing for 45, his career earnings only 55. Beautifully done. Controlled speed on the right lane.
Well, if he continues to throw the next 8 frames like that, he'll have a championship in his hand. He had perfect form on there and got an excellent result driving all 10 pins in the pit. Kreitz stayed down lower at the line, waited for the ball, and made a nice, smooth, controlled shot. Kreiz's only other appearance was at Denver, as you said before, and he was crushed by Albee on that championship round, 269 to 187. But he can take the lead here in the 4th.
Controlled preparation, now the shot. So the tournament leader, a non-winner against the defending champion and player of the year. His field of 5, total of 52 titles. This man had won 12. Mike Albee, only 8-year professional defending champion of this prestigious event. While we were away, he marked with a spare. And here in the 5th frame, powered another one, another strike.
An excellent shot by Albee there in the 5th. Keeps the pressure on Tommy Kreitz. But the story for Albee's been simply this. He has hit that left-hand lane so well. Can he start striking in the right-hand lane? He's going to give Kreitz all he can handle.
Tom Kreitz, 24 years old, has had to wait in the wings. It's a long wait, as he was the tournament leader. Albee spending a lot of emotion in that 2-pin victory over Mark Roth to get into the final. Not the 7.
A hit we've seen a number of times this telecast, where the 5 drives over into the 7, doesn't take it out, and here you see the form of Tommy Kreitz, that 4-step delivery, that deep inside line. Look where his left foot slides, almost in the left channel. Good lift, good loft. He liked the shot, not the result. Left the 7-pin conversion here, and he'd maintain a 5-pin lead.
And the native of Tampa, Florida, shooting in the 5th. And marks with his spare. A little problem sticking at the line. He checked it out. This is for 70,000 total in the one-game PBA National Championship.
Kreitz, a product of the college bowling. He bowled for Hillsborough Junior College in, as you said, Chris, the Tampa area. Has some television experience, but that's on a team. This is individual, and once again, the $70,000 is a whole bunch of money.
Now bowling with a 2-year pre-engineering degree at Hillsborough. Toppled on the left lane.
The first emotion shown by Tommy Kreitz as he gets a good break in the pinfall. Head pin to the sideboard. There's the 4-5-7, but here comes the pin action. Head pin does its job. Kreitz has 94 through 5 frames. Now Albee can reclaim the lead with a strike. He has a strike up in the 5th. A double would give him a 5-pin lead.
Trying to win his consecutive championship. Earl Anthony won 3 in a row here. A 4.
The key lane for Albee. He's been all over the bowling lane on this right-hand lane. The first frame, he had a little trouble on the left lane, then he struggled, and then he struck on the left-hand lane, the 3rd and 5th, not close in the 6th. And you see 2 rookies of the year going at it. Albee in 79, Kreitz in 85.
And this man, not only the Rookie of the Year, but the Professional Bowler of the Year by Sporting News and Bowling Digest and everyone. Albee now will be shooting in the 7th frame of this title game.
Chris, we've seen it year after year. They put up $45,000, $50,000, and all of a sudden the action slows down and the pressure mounts and the scores sometimes plummet with it. But this is match game play for big bucks.
Got out of it, fortunately. 4-7 instead of a split.
Looks like a spent bowler out there. That tie match with Edwards had to take a toll on him. Then Mark Roth took him right to the very last frame where he had to throw a strike. And here through the first 7 frames, he's been a bit lethargic. I think what he needs to do is look at that prize fund and realize how much money the difference is between 1st and 2nd place. $20,000 bucks.
Well, he marked with his spare. Perhaps he'd better take a look at his wife, Tammy, his inspiration mentally. More of this match following this. Kreitz, the tournament leader, left a 5-pin, covered it, marking with a spare. Continues to lead by only 7 pins against the defending champion, Mike Albee. Now in the left lane. 1 game, 1 title, $45,000. 3-6-10.
Very tentative Tom Kreitz. That 5-pin he left in the previous frame, the 7th frame, was a crossover 5-pin, almost a Brooklyn shot. He converted that easily and has now left himself a difficult spare, the 3-6-10. He needs to convert this to maintain a 4-pin lead over Albee with just 2 frames left.
Down, you're on count.
4 pins separating 12-time winner Mike Albee and looking for his first title, Kreitz.
With the field averaging better than 223 today, no games under 200 in the first 6 games bowled. I believe the pressure has finally taken its toll. 200 may win this title. Just 3 frames left for Albee, going at a 187 pace, trails by 4.
Very big, tension-releasing shot. And it helps the crowd, too, because they sense the pressure. And marvelous Marvin Hagler, Bo, when he went against John the Beast Mugabe, had plenty of pressure in his 12th title defense.
Well,
that'll be on Wide World today.
Yeah, it'll be a good fight. And Hagler was in a bit of trouble during that fight, and just shows his stamina and great ability and how he can come back, and is probably, as you said, one of the finest fighters of all time. And there's our host proprietor, Daryl Ducat, and his son, Mike Ducat, and Larry Ducat, who does such a super job hosting the national championship. Albee to take the lead, 9th frame.
And what do you get? That split. Underlining that.
And you know, he thought it was going to be a strike. It shows how much the lanes change on a hot day. The lanes are drying up. The ball's hooking much more than the players anticipate. Albee thought that ball was going to be solid. Watch his reaction. He says, come on, ball. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Yep.
And what happened? Has to go for it. 6-7.
just seen the winning shot. How do they do it with a 16-pound ball and pressure? There it is again.
Somebody says, how do you win $200,000, beat all the best players in the world, 6 championships, 2 nationals? There's the reason right there. Under the pressure, Albee with his back to the wall would have been trailing by more than 15 pins if he misses that. Now he trails by just 4 pins as Tom Kreitz, who's never been this far in a tournament, steps up in the 9th.
Left the 7-pin on the right lane. What a position to be in, this 24-year-old.
Agreed, Chris. He's never been there before. He's feeling the pressure. He throws a very protective shot. As you see the ball wide here in the 9th frame. He had been high in the 7th, high in the 8th. He wants to avoid the split. Does not want to beat himself. Keeps the ball in a good position. Doesn't quite carry out the 7. If he converts here, he will lead this match by just 3 pins with 1 frame left.
Going against a man who last year won 6 of 9 telecasts. Albee. 10th frame coming up. 3-pin lead. Kreitz.
The most important shot in this young man's career. If he strikes in the 10th and 11th frames and gets an 8 count, he is the national champion. If he gets anything less, he has opened the door for the defending champion, Albee, to step up in the 10th and take the title.
Swallowing becomes more difficult. There's one. ABC's Wide World of Sports. 2 parts today, that's right. Marvelous Marvin Hagler in his fight against John the Beast Mugabe, and World Ski Flying Championships on the 120-meter hill. To relate to that, the Olympic highest hill is 90 meters. Go up 30 more, and then you get 600 feet distances. Takes a lot of courage. It takes courage, actually, to do what these 2 young men are doing right now. Lots of it.
For Tom Kreitz, the time is now. Strike an 8. He is the national champion.
Leaves the 4-7.
He could have gotten a better break than that, but he left a simple spare. With a conversion, he'll have 190. He'll force Mike Albee to throw 2 strikes for the championship. The 4-7, just a pinch high. That 2-pin could have come off the sideboard, tripped it out, but not to be. It's going to the very last frame.
So Kreitz does that. And the man who was involved in a 2-frame roll-off with Mike Edwards, Mike Albee, 202 tie, and 149.39 is Harry Golden, our longtime tournament director, double-checking because of a re-rack requested by Albee. That's been done. Pins are in place. Kreitz is finished. He shot a 190. Needs 2 strikes plus 4 pins to win. And that is a big assignment. Big, big. A 7-pin, and the defending champion couldn't make it. And his first tournament win is the PBA National Championship. Tom Kreitz of Tampa, Florida, 45,000, 7-year exemption into the Firestone, and a lot more. Tough break for Mike Albee, who gets 25,000 from George Haig on the left, chairman of the board of Toledo Trust. The Professional Bowlers Tour has been brought to you by AMF Angle Ball, Winter Pro Tour's #1 winner 3 years in a row. The Angle strikes again. By Quaker State Motor Oil, in easy-to-pour and resealable plastic bottles. And by Peerless Faucet, installed in no time, lasts a long time. Coming up next, On ABC's Wide World of Sports, see Marvelous Marvin Hagler's middleweight title defense against John the Beast Mugabe. It was Hagler's toughest defense and a fight that packed plenty of action.